I'm Jim Gunnarsson, the founder of the Tri-State Ghost Hunters. Last name Gunnarson.
I'm Mary Jackson. I am the case manager, and my name is Maryjackson.
I'm going to talk about an investigation we did back in September of last year at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. It was opened in 1896 and housed 150 inmates when it first opened. Over the lifetime of the location, it housed over 155,000 men, with 200 of them dying at the location.
It ended up being closed, I think, in around 1990, I guess,
Yep.
Due to a federal decree. One of the things that's noticeable about this building, as soon as you drive up, it's very impressive. It was the set used for the Shawshank Redemption, and they picked it for a certain reason, because it's very intimidating. And I think they used that, since the purpose of the reformatory was to reform people, to put them on a better path in life. They used this Gothic architecture to put the fear of God into these people as they drove up. One other noticeable thing about this building is that it's made out of Bedford stone, which is a sandstone, and that's important as an investigator because there are theories out there that state that certain materials that are made up of a higher mineral content, like a crystal and quartz content, will possibly transmit energy better or hold energy better, so it's likely that you might have more spirit activities in buildings that are made out of that type of materials. Most of the experiences that I had at Mansfield Reformatory were audio experiences that I didn't hear at the time, but we heard later upon playback of our audio recordings. And I did have a few touch experiences as well. The audio experiences were sort of funny to me. The first one that we've caught on an EVP that we've sent to you, I asked a ghost to sit down next to me, and the reply is a pretty loud and obvious no. So I guess that ghost wasn't very interested in getting close to me. Unlike the other two spirits that I ran into later. A little bit later on, we were walking through, it was getting later at night, and there were other people here on this investigation. It was an open investigation. You had to have reservations, but you could go. But as the night wore on, more and more people started leaving, dropping out. So by this time of the night, it was getting pretty quiet. And I was walking down the cell block, the west cell block. And the cell blocks are just long promenades. There's an east cell block and a west cell block. And they have, on one side, I think it was 4 stories of cells, and on the other side, it's 5 stories of cells. So you look up and it's just a high wall of metal bars along your left-hand side as you're walking down the particular cell block I was in. And I decided, I decided that one of the things as an investigator that you think about is, how am I going to evoke activity with the spirits? You have to think about who your target audience is. So if, for instance, you're at a farm where you know there were German immigrants that lived there, you'll try and speak German to them. If you know they like opera, you might try and sing opera to them. In this particular case, my target audience was a bunch of prisoners, men who had been locked up alone, away from the world, for many years. So I was trying to think, what could I possibly use to get through, to get a reaction out of a bunch of men who've been locked away for a long time. And I finally figured I did have something that I could use. So I looked around, it was really quiet. Jim was in the other part of the building investigating. I didn't see anyone around. So I told the ghost to look down, take a look. I did a little Girls Gone Wild move, flashed them. It was pitch black, so nobody could see anything. And I asked them to give me a reaction. At that time, I didn't hear anything, which I thought was very rude of them. But later on, upon reviewing the footage, we did hear a noise that sounded like, would you say?
It's like an oh yeah,
yeah.
Or something like that.
It almost sounds like an oh yeah, but it's sort of a creepy sounding voice.
Creepy.
So that was an interesting experience. The next experience that I had, that was actually, where was the other one? Oh, we were in the sub-basement. We went down, and it looks like a regular basement. I don't know why it's called a sub-basement. But we went down to the sub-basement, and we were completely alone down there. And we were walking around, and Jim felt like something had touched him. So I said, is anyone there? Do you want to touch me? You can touch me. And immediately after that, I didn't hear it at the time, but immediately after that on the EVP, you can start to hear a heavy breathing, like an obscene heavy breathing, like you would hear on a prank phone call. So that was pretty interesting and exciting and creepy. I don't think it was Jim.
No.
Jim was across the room at that time. You can hear it. You can hear him speaking on that EVP before, and he's considerably far away. So that sort of reflected the feeling that I got there that night, that I was being watched. And then later on, as we were walking up the stairs, I felt something tap me on the butt, and I was really surprised and startled, and I turned around and I said, you didn't hit me, did you? And it wasn't Jim, so I don't know who it was, but I did get the feeling that there were men there and that they were possibly interested in any girls who might show up at that location.
My experiences there at the reformatory were, pretty much the same as Mary's. I mean, we didn't really have any, real life experiences like, at that time. Did hear one thing that was really interesting. We were walking in the west cell block, and I think we were about the third level up. We might have even been the fourth, the top level, and I heard a toilet flush. And the toilet, there's no working toilets in this building except for, up in the front side, which is too far away to even hear anything. And it was very interesting because, I was in the cell, actually one of the cells, and it sounded just like a toilet flushing.
And each of the cells do have toilets, but those toilets were filled with plaster and dust that had fallen down, so there was no possible way that we could have heard any toilet flushing in that vicinity.
The second one was Mary and I were together, and I forget where we were. We were kind of in the west cell block, but it's a little building off to the side. I think it was like a shower room or something of that nature. And I was asking, what kind of music, do they like? And after the last question I asked, we kind of had a response, and it was a weird hissing noise. It's kind of strange, and it might be somebody talking, but really, it's hard to understand. But it's very interesting. Another one was, a loud boom. Mary and I were walking through the same area, and we heard a loud boom. Had no idea what it was. There was nobody else around at the time. And this kind of startled us a bit. And
we have video footage of that.
Yeah, we have video footage. It didn't really, show anything, but it does. You can hear the sound and our, reaction to that. Another one would be the kind of weird light that we saw. We were on the east, actually the west cell block again, looking towards the east cell block, and you can see this little bluish light for a second or two as we're walking towards the edge of the railing, and have no idea what that was either.
We pulled that up too. We looked fairly closely at it, and we can't figure out we don't see other people down there. We didn't hear other people in that particular time. There weren't a lot of people around at that time, and it's really like almost ephemeral, like the way that it lights up. It doesn't appear to be as bright as a camera flash would be. And then later on, in that exact same area, we were walking down there, and it's sort of a metal doorway that leads into a cage of bars, a large cage, and I don't remember what they use that central area for.
I don't know either. Right now they actually house, they do receptions, and you can rent the place out.
It's beautiful, it's got beautiful like
in the Shawshank movie, it's where they had the lunchroom, I guess, or where they're eating lunch all the time.
But one thing that I noticed about it was when I was using my EMF detector, which detects electromagnetic frequencies, electrical activity, I was getting a reading around that metal doorway, and I thought maybe that there were some power wires, whatever they are, electrical wires running through there, and that's why I was getting the reading, but it would almost be like pulsing, and then suddenly it went away and I couldn't get it to come back up again. So if it was just the video with the light, that would be one thing, but the fact that I was getting these unusual EMF readings a little bit later leads me to believe that it might be something more than just...
Yeah, overall the place is really creepy. It's amazing. The place is humongous. There's rooms, and the sub-basement is unbelievable.
And it's awesome that at this preservation society that's working to preserve this place, this historically important building, it's really awesome that on these investigations you get to go anywhere. There's only a few rooms that they lock off because they have, important documents and their offices and that sort of thing, but you get to go anywhere over the building. And even as you go through the building, the feeling is different in different places. In the warden's section, which actually in the warden's section there was a death that occurred there. The warden's wife, these closets are huge, and she was going through trying to pull something down from the upper level of one of these big closets, and a loaded gun fell down and accidentally discharged and killed her. But actually, over there in the warden section, it's got a calmer feeling, I think. Don't you think?
It does.
You don't really feel like there's much going on over there.
Yeah, it's not as creepy as the cell blocks.
The cell blocks, definitely, and certain cells you get more feeling out of than others.
I mean, it's definitely, if you're claustrophobic, you don't want to be in a lot of places there. But overall, I mean, they're really doing a great job keeping the place, open to the public and allow visitors, and hopefully, we can go back here soon and take a look at the place again.
Hi, my name is Bob Weiss, and I'm also a founder of the Tri-State Ghost Hunter Society. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join Mary and Jim on the investigation that weekend because of some other engagements, and also I missed the deadline to actually do the investigation at the place. But I did all the video editing and reviewing of the investigation, and while I was investigating some of the video, I was quite impressed with some of the results, especially some of the responses to Mary and also Jim. That was quite surprising to me. So that investigation was actually pretty pinnacle for us to show that there actually is paranormal activity at the Mansfield Reformatory, as documented on other investigations on TV and etc. So I think it was pretty successful, and I hope to go there again with the team again, possibly this year or next.